It's the Flow Friday Night Sports Show. Let's have a look at Great Flinders football. Another big round of matches last weekend and some surprises amongst them as well. Let's bring in the great man himself, Chris Prime, who is, I believe, as we're speaking, going up and back and up and back. How are you, mate?
Yeah, good, Jace. Just sitting on my butt, recovering, going, as you said, up and back, trying to get some rain in the ground and hopefully get some rain on.
Yeah, well, we could do with some rain. Now, first question today, before we get to last week's A-grade results, I asked for 5 goals out of you in the Rezzies last week. How'd you go?
Started off all right. Kicked a couple in the first half. Halfway through the third quarter, maybe pulled a little fetlock.
Oh, no.
The runner came out and said, if you're a little bit sore, go down back. And I looked at the runner and thought, and he saw me go for the next ball. He came back, and if I was a horse, I reckon I was pulling the curtains up just to put me down there and leave me. But I was hobbling off the ground a little bit like Forrest Gump. As it does when you're injured, the ball finds you. I took a mark, and I'm about 25 metres out, and I'm sitting there thinking, how the hell am I going to kick this on one leg? I kicked it, hobbled off, so I ended the day with 3. Have a short story long.
Well, I can't complain then. I guess seasonally adjusted, that equates to the 5. If you played, what did you say, a couple of quarters, so up 40, fair enough, we'll pay that.
Thanks, mate. And 2 handballs, which as a full forward doesn't happen very often.
Rubbish. Don't believe that for 1 second, Primey. You would have
you have to look at the stat.
You would have been handballing it back to the umpire, maybe. That would have been about it.
Oh, we're counting those down, so that would be 3 handballs.
Good stuff. All right, let's have a look at those A-grade results. So actually in the Rezzies that you mentioned there, we'll start off with your boys. You had a big win in the reserves, and looking at the final score there, we didn't see this coming. The A-grade Lock, 16-8-104. Absolutely pumped you boys by 10 goals in the end, 6-5-41. So what went on here? Was it a case of some blokes unavailable for you guys? Lock obviously are on top of the ground at the moment, as we know. They're going beautifully. So clearly they're up and about and going really well.
I think it was a bit of a lack of, not effort, guys were trying, but just that lack of connection between players. More so after half-time, I think we kicked the first goal in the second half. We sort of got us back to that 2 or 3 goal margin, and we thought, okay, the boys are going to fight back. Then Lock kicked a couple, and I think a couple of heads dropped, which was disappointing, but then all of a sudden 4 or 5 goals in front, and there wasn't enough fight left in the Tumbley boys to close that gap.
Incredibly for Lock, 16 goals, only 2 goal kickers, and if you don't mind, it was the Travie Baird show up forward. He booted 12 on the day, absolutely dominant.
Oh, look, outstanding effort, and like I said, I don't watch footy that closely. I'm not a great viewer of the game, but yeah, they just stood out very well, like just keep getting hold of it. And when you got someone going well up forward, you seem to keep looking for them, so great effort, Mike Crab.
Another good win for Lock, so they're well and truly firmly entrenched at the moment inside the top 4. Good on them. Tumby Bay have got some work to do. The other game that caught me by surprise a little bit, I guess the margin sort of finished, I guess, where we thought it might, but United Yolanda, let's have a look at their scoreline against Ramblers in the A-grade, and it was 16-9-105, Ramblers 6-6-42, but at a half-time, this was anyone's game. It was the Eagles who got away late in the second half, particularly in that last quarter they kicked away, but Ramblers just couldn't go with them, mate.
Oh, look, once again, Ramblers have got a really young side. I think I read during the week they had 12 under-21s in that A-grade side. Once again, if you're going well, those players are up and about, but the extra experience of the Yolanda boys and strength, I think just told in the end, like the young guys from Ramblers just couldn't stay with them for the whole day, and if that Ramblers side sticks together for the next 5 or 6 years, you'll see a Yolanda style where, 2007, 8, 9, where they were a young bunch of kids and everyone could push them around, like all of a sudden become young men, and they're a very good footy side. So I think Ramblers have got a very positive pitch there with a good bunch of young kids, and if they can keep them together, I think the signs are good for them down the track.
Couldn't agree more, mate. I'll tell you what, another one who's bobbed up for Yolanda, he's played a bit of Rezzies football for them and for Boston's down in Lincoln in the past, few senior games along the way, but Luke Howie is as fit as he's ever been. He's in his mid-30s, I think, Luke. Booted 7 goals for Yolanda. He's always been able to find the sticks, but 7 goals in an A-grade game. I don't think he would have done that before, so red letter day for that young man.
And once again, having those players around and that lifts you. And I think he's played a couple of really good games this year, and I think it's credit that he gets the reward there. So got to keep working at it.
Breed, Howie, Carr, how about those names? Glover, Manane, all named in the best for the Eagles, so they are up and about again. All right, let's go to Elliston Districts now. They took on the Saints United. It was at Elliston, and they won fairly comfortably here, 12-14-86 to the Saints, 3-3-21. They put up a bit of a fight here, the Saints, no question about that, particularly in that first half where I think there was only 4 or 5 goals in it at half-time. But in the end, the Elliston Districts class just got hold of them.
And once again, it's the same story. Young guys against an older, more experienced team. Elliston Districts are starting to come together. I think we said after the first week, just getting to click amongst themselves, and I think that's starting to happen, and I think they'll just keep growing. And United, well, they'll keep battling away, and if they can get a few more games in those young kids and a bit more strength, and it will turn. But yeah, I think Elliston Districts are probably just starting to show where they're at.
Young Cody Rosali booted another 3. He's going beautifully, but in the best, Ross Bascom, he's a star, we know that. Young Cooper Tansel has come up and playing for Elliston Districts and playing really good footy. Scotty Feldis, the man, we all know him, we love him. He just tries week in, week out. And Lee, tell us about this young fella. I haven't heard much about him before, but he was best on ground for Elliston Districts and looks a good type. And
I mean, a lot of these guys, because we don't see them often, they sneak under the radar, and I think we're going to see a bit of that this year. Like we were talking the other day, a lot of sides haven't seen each other yet, and you get a couple of good young ones in there, and away you go.
Well, you're going to have to keep an eye on him this week because that's where we're going to start at Elliston. Tumby Bay will head up the highway. You're going to take up the invitation to stay up there, Primey, hitch up the caravan, or got to get back to do some more seating, I suppose?
I think the swag will be thrown in the back of the ute. Elliston District supporters have been really good staying around other clubs, and it's about us trying to show them that same. We want to stay around and support them like they did to us. So, yeah, we'll probably stay up there and might sneak a couple of quiet, refreshing ales at the end of the day.
I think that's fair enough too. So, should be an interesting game in the A grade. I mean, look, at the moment, Tumby Bay have got, and I wasn't trying to make excuses earlier when we were talking about your boys. I know I've got you on the line, but the reality is Tumby Bay do have quite a few injuries at the moment, some really important ones too. Ox Calderwood, I think, in your back line is about as important a player as there is running around at the Tumby Bay Footy Club at the moment. Is he likely to be back?
I think he'll miss until, I would think, Mortlock. At his age, I can say that now because he's an old bloke. I think it's better off getting him right before he comes back in. But, yeah, very important, especially with the likes of Joey Walker down, just someone in the back lines to control stuff. Had a couple of young blokes put their hands up, but yeah, just need that experience back there just to really just tighten stuff up. But it will be a battle, I think, for Tumby. I think Elliston probably starting to click, and Tumby's just hasn't quite found the right mix at the moment. So I think it will be Elliston probably by 6 or 7 goals.
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. Unfortunately for you, Tumby Bay lads, for Elliston Districts, they have got an opportunity really to get a foothold in the top 4 at the moment if they win this game, and I think they will. They're on top of the ground at the moment. They're on their home deck, smallish ground. Primey, that'll be another test for your Tumby Bay boys because it is a small oval, that one at Elliston.
It is, and it's sometimes small ovals are easier to crowd up and defend. As forwards, we always like open space, but small ovals are sometimes harder to play. Your centre half forward disappears because that position doesn't really exist. Yeah, it's a bit of an art playing small ovals. All
right, so we're all in agreement there, Elliston Districts, to beat your Tumby Bay boys at Elliston this weekend. I tell you what, things are starting to get a little desperate for Ramblers. They've only got the one win on the board so far, and it's way too early to be saying silly things like that, but they're going to run into a very, very interesting outfit this week at Cummins. They'll be hosting Cummins Kapini Cougars, and we know how well they're going at the moment, Primey.
Once again, there's still a few anomalies in our season at this stage. Ramblers have only faced 2 clubs. They've played Yolanda twice, and Tumby. So they haven't really, no one's really found out where everyone sits. So it'll be a tough test for Ramblers. I think Cougars probably the early season favourite at this stage. So I think they'll probably get over the line. But I think Ramblers will stick with them probably for about half the game again, and then Cougars' experience will run away with it.
And the last game will be at Kaku, where United Yolana will host Air United. And they put up a very good, fighting performance last week against Elliston District's Air United. But this is something else, isn't it?
They've been the benchmark for probably 7 or 8 years. Like Yolana are going to be tough for most sides, and Air United are just don't quite have the cattle on the park at the moment to upset the top sides. So I think once again they'll push the side for a half, but then fall away.
All about improving week by week for United at the moment, and the Eagles, while you're on top of the ground, you just keep running on it. So see if Luke Howie can add more to his goal tally, and I think the Eagles will win fairly comfortably. Lock having the bye, and they'll enjoy the bye this time around after coming off a nice win last week. So of course, we've got Mortlock just around the corner. In the future, we'll talk about the Mortlock Shield squad for Great Flinders, the Maroons, and also the Nord Cup squads. The under-15 boys will be gearing up. I think the Nord Cup squad's been announced already, hasn't it, Primey?
It has. There's a good starting of players from each club. And it is. I think the under-15 is probably it's not the pinnacle, but it is the highlight of junior sport. Like they're raw. They haven't been shaped by any outside influences at that stage. They still have that real get up and go. So look, I highlight seeing the under-15s, the under-17s. They start to be a little bit more reserved sometimes than the under-15s. So the under-15 is really made best footy.
And there's a lot of scouts that get around to that. It used to be the Port Adelaide Magpies Cup back in the days where Eyre Peninsula was in that zone, but now, of course, the Nord Cup, who've been doing great things. A lot of the EP boys running around for Nord now in the seniors, just as we have in the past for Port Adelaide. So it's good to see that tradition continuing.
It is, and if I go back far enough, I think I played in the Sandboy Cup. I don't know what we were representing.
Gee whiz, now we are going back.
I think we were representing Chips.
The Gobble Dog. I remember that thing that used to get around in the little blue van. Yep.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, mate. Well, fingers crossed we get some rain, but not while the footy's going on Saturday. Hopefully it's a nice dry track for you at Elliston. Good luck to everyone across Great Flinders this week on the park. And, Primey, we'll catch up with you again next week.
No worries, Jace. Hey, just a quick call out. Young Nick Cave, who's in the Northern Cup squad, kicked 5 in the B grade for Tumpy on Saturday. I think that only puts him 1 or 2 behind his old man. So good work, Nick.
Good stuff. That might be the last game that his dad lets him play in the Rezzies on the back of that.
Maybe, but yeah, got to stir him a little bit.
Good stuff, Primey. All the best for the weekend, mate.
Cheers, Reach.